Welcome to the Aviation Insurance Podcast, the podcast that helps aircraft owners and aviation businesses learn and understand the complex world of aviation insurance and risk management. From the basic principles of aviation insurance to risk management techniques and updates on the aviation insurance market, the Aviation Insurance Podcast is your guide to traverse the world of aviation insurance. Now, here's your host, Tim Bonnell.
Welcome to the Aviation Insurance Podcast, and we've been bringing you some interesting episodes, really looking to the future, and the future is actually here today. And so I'm excited to bring today's guest as we continue looking at these emerging technologies between telematics, advanced air mobility aircraft, electronic vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, and these things that we've seen pictures in artificial intelligence generated videos and graphics, and we've heard promises that these are coming, and it's been kind of the word that 2024 is the year. And so it was only appropriate to bring in one of the authorities on this very subject today, talking about these advanced air mobility aircraft, the EVTOL movement, with the one manufacturer, the CEO of the one manufacturer that is actually putting these into the hands of customers. So with that today, I'm pleased to welcome Ken Karklin, who is the CEO of EVTOL. And he is right on the front edge, the line of delivering these aircraft with his corporation, and this movement moving from dream and testing into reality and today. So Ken, welcome to the podcast.
Tim, thank you. Thank you for that extremely generous introduction. Much appreciated.
Yeah. So just kind of tell us how about you came to become the CEO of EVTOL. What's that journey been like?
Well, so we're about 2 years into that journey now. And, I had been in the transportation, electrification, and actually smaller unmanned aircraft space, all in for about 13 years with a company in Southern California called AeroVironment. Where I had done everything from engineering management to program management to manufacturing management. And for the last 4 years, I had been leading operations across the company as we grew to 5 product lines and about 1,400 people. I came to come into contact with Alan Eustace, who is actually EVTOL's chairman of our board, and he is quite an aviator and quite an engineer. And this is someone who flies jets, multi-engine prop planes, helicopters. Has been an avid skydiver since he was 17, and actually holds the world's altitude record for a stratospheric parachute jump. Completed about a year after Baumgarten did it for Red Bull, with a lot more hoopla and publicity, but that's what Red Bull does. And Alan said, you should really take a look at the Blackfly and meet my friend Marcus Lang. So Marcus is the founder of EVTOL, then Opener, and actually the company has been at it now all in 13 years, but that's been 11 years of serial prototyping and testing. And really, it's only in the last 2 years that we've started to make that journey towards becoming a company that's delivering products, services, and support and training to customers and delivering aircraft from serial production.
The advanced air mobility EVTOL movement is really starting to take flight this year. So what is your near-term perspective from where you sit? And then maybe just a little bit more as what you see is going to come in the future as this industry revolutionizes air transportation.
Well, Tim, it's hard for me to really project what's going to happen when with the broader EVTOL market, in the sense that overwhelmingly these are larger corporations, very capital intensive, pursuing public air taxi strategies, which have a lot of challenges in terms of what has to go right. Not the least of which is public acceptance, high utilization, and municipalities agreeing to have these flying machines overpopulated areas and landing in neighborhoods and vertiports and airports. all of this will happen. I think that the question is the timing and the rate of adoption is going to be something that's difficult to predict. As for Pivotal, we're going to be moving from our early access program and early experiments with defense applications into production with our Helix vehicle, which is derived from the legacy Blackfly EVTOL. And we're going to be putting that into the hands of consumers, and they're going to be experiencing it for recreation and for short hop travel. And other missions that we see our early customers really coming up with to use the vehicles.
Yeah, and it's exciting to see, some of these aircraft in customer hands, and and as the industry as a whole tries to get there, what are those biggest obstacles? We talk about certification, we talk about the financing. Are those the biggest challenges to this whole movement taking flight, as we talked about, or are there others?
Well, certification is certainly a huge challenge for commercial operations. And I think right behind that in time, and possibly more difficult in magnitude, will be finding pilots. The pilot requirements that FAA so far imposed on powered lift eVTOL operators are quite significant in terms of total number of hours of rotary wing and fixed wing experience. These are going to be hard pilots to come by, and it's going to be a limiter to the rate of growth. We're not bound by that with our first aircraft, which is very much focused on recreation and short hop travel for an individual user, one passenger operator. It fits into the Part 103 ultralight category. It does not actually require a pilot certificate to purchase or to operate. However, you do have to get to the other side of our training, which is about 2 weeks long. It's task focused. It's taken some of our pilots a little bit longer to complete, some a little bit less time to complete. But they're also having the benefit of simplified flight controls and an overall flight envelope that is designed to be conservative and safe and easy to use for those operators. But it's a very different space than a commercial eVTOL that's carrying passengers for hire.
Right, and I think myself and others have had the advantage of and the opportunity to hear from one of your customers who was a non-pilot, and as well as one of your engineers at the Aviation Insurance Association conference this year back in May in New Orleans, and then obviously we had one of your early customers, Dean Owens, as a guest a few episodes ago. And so I think one of the interesting things is exactly what you talked about. The reason, Pivotal was really the name that came up and brought in is because you are, you're putting this in the hands of customers. You are executing a training program. So from the insurance industry perspective, we can, what we think about and prepare for is becoming a reality. And so you guys have very specific technologies and a training program. And so you just kind of hit on this. So I want to get to the safety and training part, and you've got technology which applies to all these. But when it comes to this movement, why Pivotal, and who is the target market? You kind of mentioned a couple things there, and then after that, I'd love to move into that technology and training piece.
Sure. Well, who is the target market for the Helix, which is the production aircraft that will be shipping early next year? If you placed order today, you would likely receive it towards the end of Q1 25. That is, a robust ultralight aircraft that is a powered lift eVTOL, fly-by-wire, triply redundant flight controls, and it is easy to fly. It is easy to learn. We probably spend more time with in our training program, teaching what to do if something were to actually go wrong, and we've actually never experienced those things going wrong in human flight. But with autonomy comes a burden to actually train. Well, what do you do if the autonomy is not there? So our pilots do have to learn how to do manual landings without GPS and without radar and in a headwind, and how to feel the aircraft. And it's been very successful so far. And again, who are these people? These are pioneers. These are people that want to be part of this technology transition. And some of them take it very seriously. They want it to be part of their legacy, that they participated in this. And, just like some of the earliest adopters in the electric vehicle space, they're proud of what they're doing. They're really contributing to the body of knowledge that is informing the design and some details of the human-machine interface and software for that future state production vehicle. They're informing us of use models. Overwhelmingly, when we designed our initial training program, it was all about taking off and taking it for a spin and seeing the countryside and then landing where you took off from. What we're finding is that's actually not the way customers prefer to use it. They want to use it to go places, and they're pre-positioning charging units at friends and family, and they're using it to go from point A to point B. So that short hop travel is a real thing.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And again, we got to hear your customer's perspective on going through this process from Dean Owens, like I said, a couple episodes ago. But, obviously, we talked about a couple obstacles to the industry and with what you mentioned, but obviously obtaining insurance is one. And so insurance obviously is part of the focus of what we do. And just like we have, your customers and your company being pioneers, we have a number of insurance companies and professionals that seek to be, pioneers in addressing new risks as well. Insurance is usually best measured with data and a track record. And so when we have something new, we have to kind of educate ourselves and ask, what are the things this company is doing to, both in the aircraft technologically and in training in order to help reduce risk and prevent loss. And you mentioned a few things already with, the triple redundancy and the automations and the pilot training, but can you kind of go into that a little bit, further is, really to the, aviation insurance community itself? What are the, you guys are obviously being very intentional about that. What are some of those things from either technology or program wise, safety and training in order to, help provide the safest operations possible?
Well, one of the things the company did absolutely right from the very beginning was to ensure that the aircrafts that they were developing and testing were basically cloud-connected digital assets and instrumented beyond what you would expect in terms of the ability to extract telemetry from the vehicle, push it up into the cloud, and then be able to analyze it and determine the outcome from various flight testing events. And it was originally conceived as a flight testing tool, but as it matured, it became clear that this is something that has real value to end users and to the to manage a fleet of aircraft and keep those end users safe and head off potential hardware failures long before they actually materialize. Be able to look at operator behavior, be able to look at, was our training effective with this, population of aviators or not? And we're actually starting to see the results of all that with an installed base of cloud-connected aircraft that, after they complete any given flight, are pushing many hundreds of megabytes, if not gigabytes, of telemetry up into the cloud. And then we have algorithms that run on that, sort through all that data, highlight areas of concern. They get engineering investigation, and then we're able to do something about it. We're able to spot a servo that's drawing a little too much current or is trending in a direction flight after flight after flight where it looks like it could fail prematurely and go have a repair done. If we were to find a issue either with a given aircraft or with a subset of the fleet or the entire fleet, we can actually remotely ground, an aircraft, many aircraft, all the aircraft. There could be some lag associated with it if it's not connected in real time. But if you don't connect your aircraft periodically, it's going to automatically ground itself. So there's an added security benefit to that. There is a risk mitigation benefit to that. And because these aircraft are being used primarily for recreation and short hop travel, it's an expectation that can be managed with our customers. That I think is nothing short of revolutionary. It was, the first step was just to make them, cloud connected and push all this telemetry. That kind of caught up aviation, at least in our example, with where automotive was. But now with the ability to actually keep it on the ground, keep those customers safe should something be discovered, that's a breakthrough.
Yeah, and I think Dean Owens said, your team will be in touch if, actually say, hey, you can't fly it until we do this, whether it's on their end, his end, or whatever it might be. And I think that is pretty incredible. And obviously Dean has a safety and a proactive mindset, and that's something that I would hope we can see continue to grow on the traditional aviation sector as these technologies emerge and available. And it's really impressive to hear about how all these integrate in your proactive nature, being that you don't have to have a pilot's license to operate it, and having all the algorithms. Are there things like in your technology related to keeping out a certain airspace or certain altitudes or anything like that, preventative to help safe operations for these pilots?
All of that is well within the realm of our capabilities, and those are some specific technologies that we've used in test. Not all of them are deployed in the present software stack with our current aircraft, but we're evaluating that all the time to find out, really what is the best answer. Because we want to be careful with automation and with technologies like geofencing and what have you, because you don't want to necessarily deprive your customers of fair use of the asset that they purchased. And you want to be deferent to the pilot in command to be able to do what they need to do. Not to mention the fact that if you're start geofencing things like power lines, well, as over time, if your customers come to rely on that rather than the visual indicators that they should be looking for, what if you're wrong? So it bears deep consideration every time you make a choice to implement some autonomy in the name of safety, because you have to look at, well, what if the autonomy is wrong? What if it fails? And we actually had early on had contemplated a return to home feature, so that if an operator was out flying out and about and didn't feel well or didn't want to complete the flight on their own accord, whatever the cause, they could hit a button that said return to home. We actually withdrew that feature. We did not deliver that feature to our early access program participants. And we don't think that something like that is ready for prime time until you can show that autonomy is absolutely incapable of causing a bad outcome. And to do that, you need a lot of additional sensing technologies. If they haven't figured it out for cars yet, I don't think that the expectation should be there that it be that bulletproof in aviation either.
Hi, this is Tim Bonnell Jr., the president and CEO of Aviation Insurance Solutions, and I wanted to let you know that my new book, Aircraft Insurance Fundamentals, a concise guide for aircraft owners and operators, has been released. It's actually the expanded and revised version of my first book, so this has additional information, talks about emerging technologies, it has updated information, expanded information. So if you want to better understand aircraft insurance, check out this book. It's available on Amazon, both in paper and in Kindle format, as well as other retailers. So check it out there, Amazon.com. Thanks a lot. There's always that consideration, what's too much automation versus what's not. And so obviously, as I said earlier, Dean talked, even more about his personal experience going through the rigorous, training program, and typically we love, dual redundancies, but triple redundancies is is exciting to have. So, that in mind, that kind of answers part of my next question. But, why should insurance companies be eager to insure these aircraft, today, and then obviously into the Helix, production models that are coming?
Well, if assuming these aircraft is speaking narrowly to Pivotal's Helix
Yes.
and our aircraft to come, a number of reasons they should be eager to insure. First of all, we represent a really healthy risk profile. Our ability to contain issues, should they be discovered, is really unmatched. Number two, the ability for the operator to actually do bad things is quite limited by the flight envelope. The flight envelope is, if the actual flight capabilities are boxed at this big. What the operator is limited to is something that's drawn inside that with considerable margin. You can't put it into a dive. You can't put it into a negative pitch dive. You could probably find a way to fly into things, into obstacles, if you went out of your way to do that, unfortunately. But in general, the descent rates are managed, altitude is held, and these are controls that are very robust, that have been proven over a period of tens of thousands of flight test events, quite literally. Add to that the telematics, the aero telematics that are constantly informing us of the state of health of the aircraft, and is the operator behavior within the realm of expectation. And we've got a closed loop continuous improvement system that I think is unmatched. Right? And it's driving changes to our aircraft just in the last few months. We made what would probably be considered a slight change to the human machine interface, the joystick. We found that there were, at times, operators making unintentional inputs, and they were being made at a time where it didn't matter, but it could lead to an unplanned state transition from hover to cruise or cruise to hover. So we rolled a change to that joystick to prevent that from happening. And because it's not a certified aircraft, we were actually able to design, test, pilot that change, with a handful of aircraft, and then implement it on the whole fleet and all our simulators, all in the space of about 6 weeks. And that's, the kind of managed change that really, really drives safer outcomes. Another thing that I think is significant in the Helix aircraft, when people are taking production of that, or take delivery of that production aircraft, and they get their training, well, their asset, their aircraft, is going to be biometrically locked to them or to whomever else in their circle they've identified as, operators of their aircraft that have also been through our training. And what's coming is a currency requirement on top of that, which will require some kind of mixture of online training and possibly remote sim time that's actually done on the aircraft itself.
Yes, so you've basically you can't fly the aircraft if you're not biometrically and approved, and if you're not current per your training standards. That's pretty impressive in and of itself. The technology that's available, the technology that's coming is truly amazing, and I think that's why I'm always eager for the aviation insurance industry to hear and learn about that, and to be certainly on the right out there in front, knowing what's available today, even and anticipating what's coming. So I know you guys, I believe, as we're recording this, just got back from Oshkosh, and I saw some videos on social media, the Pivotal social media pages of the Felix, was it operating there, or the not
So
the
that
Helix?
was those are Helix. Those are Helix prototype aircraft that we're actually operating at Oshkosh.
Yeah.
So we flew at the I think it was the Twilight Ultralight Fest on two occasions, and both of them were tandem flights after sunset. So it was a kind of a unique experience, and it's really only the second and third time we've done tandem flights for a public display, and it's kind of becoming the norm.
Yeah.
So, if you look at how the company's performed at Oshkosh over the years, the first time out it was a quick hover flight, see what's possible. Then a couple years later, we're going up and down the main runway, doing S curves, and stop and do a 360 on a point, and ascend and descend. All with operators who are having the time of their lives doing it. Because one thing we failed to mention, Tim, while the emphasis is on safety and the emphasis is on operator competency, it's really fun to fly.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that from Dean and from others who've had that experience. And so just if somebody hasn't seen this, haven't pictured it, some of us got the opportunity to see a video at that conference, and some got to see it at Oshkosh. But you guys obviously have social media pages on most of the social media outlets, and then I guess your website would also have some great pictures and videos. So if we can put this in our the notes of the show, but where could people go to find more information about Pivotal Aircraft and what you guys are operating?
Well, on our website, pivotal.aero, you can learn about where we'll be flying next. There's links to everything in our social media channels. You can see whatever the latest video of where we've flown. So we're putting some stuff up from Oshkosh there now. Soon we'll be putting up some stuff from some flights we were doing around the Bay Area and around San Francisco and the Golden Gate Bridge and other well-known locations. But now we've got privately owned aircraft being operated day in, day out in Washington, in Oregon, in Southern California, in Massachusetts, in Delaware, in Kentucky, at Air Force installations and municipal airports where they're doing experiments for AAM in Ohio and Texas. So, if look up, you're likely to see us somewhere around the country in the not too distant future. But we are going to be making an effort to participate in more air shows and also more not necessarily pure aviation events, but maybe car shows and other such venues, because we really want to share this technology with the broadest possible audience and show them what's possible.
Absolutely. And again, that's one reason we were excited to bring you and Pivotal into these discussions about aircraft insurance, because there's a lot of interesting designs. There's a lot of people trying to put different, use operations in using advanced air mobility, EVTOL aircraft. But you guys are delivering some today into the hands of customers. And in addition to your technologies and your uniqueness, that's really what brings a different perspective to a discussion on insurance right now. And I encourage everyone to check out those websites and those social media pages to learn more. You can see what one of these things really looks like instead of some interesting AI generated video or graphic. And it really is neat. And you can learn more all about it just on the website and the socials. So I encourage you to head there and do so. And with that, Ken, are there any questions I should have asked you, but I didn't, or do you have any closing thoughts?
You didn't ask me how you could order one, which I always hope to hear. But that said, we continue to take our reservations for year one of production, and you can learn more about it at pivotal.aero. And we're engaging, new aviators and existing aviators alike every single day, and they are virtually all very excited about the technology and the joy of flight when they really get to know Pivotal and the Helix.
So Ken, you talked about, these are pioneers operating the aircraft today. Realistically, what are the type of people, pilots, men, women, old, young, who's operating this aircraft today?
It is really an amazing and a very broad, diverse group of people. We've trained 38 pilots to date, and that's inception to date. So that includes some employees from years back. But just in the last year, we've trained over a dozen. And, we have probably the youngest was 20. We have 5 female EVTOL pilots that we've trained beginning to end, which actually gives us a monopoly on powered lift EVTOL pilots, by the way. We have our oldest is 86, but doesn't look a day over 62. And boy, I hope I'm half as sharp as he is down when we get there. But really just a very diverse group of folks from various different walks of life. We have, as you know, a CPA. We have a CEO. We have engineering leaders from industry. We have retired smoke jumper and Air Force pararescue people. We have marketing executives. And this is all walks of life. Maybe a third of them were already pilots with pilot certificates. And of course, what I didn't emphasize was the number of folks within Pivotal that have also, cross-trained to become operators of our EVTOL aircraft. And, again, all walks of life. We've got 3 or 4 women in that group. Just about everybody is an engineer, mechanical engineers, software engineers. Actually, the aircraft that we were flying in Oshkosh, both aircraft were young women engineer pilots. So Tina and Allison, one's a flight test engineer and project manager, and the other is one of our firmware engineers. She helped write the code that is actually powering that aircraft and keeping it safe. And they showed the world what it's like.
Very cool. And if my memory serves me correct, you're one of those people, aren't you?
I do count myself as one of our pilots. It's been a few months for me, so I'm not sure I'm current today, but I'll be getting back up there pretty soon.
But you don't just lead it; you've gone through it, and you're doing it yourself.
I've gone through the training end to end, and I'm at about 21 flights now.
It's exciting times for sure, not just at Pivotal, but in the aviation industry, the aviation insurance industry, and it's exciting, as I stated earlier, without really trying to be a pun. It's starting to take flight, and today, and so the future is here and now, and it's exciting to be a part of it. And so, Ken, thank you to you and team, what you're doing, and also just sharing your time to come in and help educate, our viewers, both in the insurance industry and aviation and the general and business aviation sectors about, what that looks like and what they can be a part of if that's something they want to do. And it's a real, just a really valuable thing as things are new to educate ourselves to what they are and what these technologies look like and how that can not just be fun, as you said, but also safe and effective. So sincerely appreciate your time sharing with me and our viewers here today.
Tim, thanks so much for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Very good. Well, that's all for this episode. Join us again next time as we continue navigating the waypoints in aviation insurance. Until then, enjoy clear skies and unlimited visibility.
Thanks for listening to the Aviation Insurance Podcast. If you found this episode of value, please share it with someone who would benefit from this information. Don't forget to subscribe in your podcast player so you don't miss any new episodes and to help our show have more impact. This episode is brought to you by Aris Insurance Solutions, your flight plan for navigating the turbulence of aviation insurance. For more information, visit arisinsurance.com. That is www.aerisinsurance.com. Disclaimer. These episodes are for educational purposes only, and due to the changing regulatory and legal nature of the business, some information may change over time. Having a well-educated and experienced aviation insurance broker on your team is an absolute requirement to success in business and for managing your aircraft and aviation business risks.